Foremost, thank you all for being here today. My name is Cheryl Ogden. I am the director of the Historical Society, and I am very pleased to introduce Miss Amanda Goodwin, who will be here to discuss the Lost Voices. If you have any questions for her, please don't hesitate. This is what she does all the time. She deals with seventh graders. She's used to it. So
yeah, don't wait till the end. Just say hey, because you might forget and I might forget, and it's good.
So without further ado, Miss Amanda Goodwin.
All right. Well, hello, and thank you all for coming. I am excited because number one, the sun is shining, and number two, we're in double digits. So yes. When it started snowing yesterday, my sweet children had their faces plastered against the window going, why are we here? I was a little worried we weren't going to be able to do this, but everything worked out great. Like Cheryl said, my name is Amanda Goodwin. I am a social studies teacher at Urbana Junior High. I've been at Urbana now for 11 years. So I've probably, if you have grandchildren, I've probably tortured them at one point or another with my historical knowledge. And I'm here to talk about one of our PBL projects. And we've been working on this PBL project, and sorry, that's teacher talk. It's project-based learning. And so we started our project-based learning unit called Lost Voices probably about 5 years ago. And we started with Dr. E.W.B. Curry, an amazing African-American man who moved here, started the Curry Institute, which was an industrial school based on the, I'll just slip my mind, I'll come back to it. But yes, he taught all genders, all races, and he believed that if you could get a Tuskegee model, he believed that if you had good job skills, you could get a good job and gain respect in your community, thus gaining equality. We moved on then to Dave Bus Hill. We've talked about the Underground Railroad in Champaign County. And last year, my seventh graders started focusing on Indigenous history. And so we kind of narrowed it down to the Shawnee. The Miami lived here, the Delaware lived here. As you know, or you may not know, Indigenous people in the 1700s moved frequently, sometimes because they wanted to, sometimes because they didn't have a choice. So we do have various tribes moving in and out of this area. But like I said at the beginning, I give my kids what's called a pre-assessment before we start every unit. So this is your pre-assessment. It doesn't hurt your grades, so don't worry about that. I want you to try to answer all of the questions to the best of your ability. And then we're going to trade and grade because we want you to stay honest about it. I do have some pens and I was right around those. And the person, you're welcome, who has the highest score wins the bag of goodies. So you're lucky the kids don't get goodies. They just go, oh, that's great. Good job. And I will circle around pens if somebody needs a pen. You look like you need a clipboard, sir, because writing on your knees is hard to do. Put your name on it. That way the person who's grading your paper can get it back to you. Oops. I've been doing this for about 25 years now. You can tell, I got this down. So, do you need a pen, sir?
Yes, I do.
Okay, I got you. Do you need a pen too? It's not a treat, it's all I need.
Okay.
So if you would just take a couple minutes, let's test your Native American knowledge. And remember, we're not judging, this is your pre-assessment. If you don't get the answers right, that's okay. While you're answering your questions, our children will be returning here in April, where their PBL projects will be on display. They have been creating works of art to represent the Shawnee people. They have been creating podcasts where you can actually listen to their podcasts. And we are going to have a series of newspaper articles, not only in the local newspaper, but also the Ohio Historical Society newsletter and the Champaign County Historical Society. All right, are we ready or do you need a couple more minutes? By the way, there's a book in this goodie bag, and I will honestly tell you, I haven't read it. But it is signed by the author, and it comes with good reviews. So, also, there's a bag of Bird Blend coffee, and there's some cookies in there because when you're reading a book and drinking coffee, you need cookies. So, all right, are we ready? Oh, hello! Come on,
Hi.
sit down.
Fashionably late.
That's okay. Now listen, mister, if you're gonna start stirring up trouble, do you want to take the quiz or do you want me
Yes.
to? Okay. Love it when they say they want to take the quiz. Here you go, sir.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. Would you like to take the quiz as well, sir? All right. We'll give you just a couple minutes. Keep your answers secret. Keep them safe. Don't let anybody cheat off of you. Or you could work together and share the goodies, which is also possible. I've got kids that do that. They're like, oh, we want Smarties, so then I can get everybody a Smartie. Yes.
I think that's a really amazing system instead of like tearing at each other's throats. If they form a collective and they pool all their answers, they get something.
I just tell them, I'm lucky that as middle schoolers, they don't realize if they would just join forces and use all of their powers together, they could probably overthrow us. But they haven't figured that out yet, so.
Well, but that little experiment about the Smarties, that's just like,
There-
oh, so socialism is a better system.
I also could get I can get desk clean with a Smartie like there's no tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, who wants a Smartie? Clean 5 desks, let's go. And they're just, yes. All right, I'm gonna go over the answers, so don't change your answers. All right, now you can't correct your answers, you have to keep them to the ends. All right, here we go. So, how many federally recognized tribes are there in the United States? The answer is 574. Yes, okay, people are happy. Okay, number 2. How many federally or state recognized tribes are there in the state of Ohio? Hint, it's less than 10. It's a big old honking 0. There are no federally or state recognized tribes in the state of Ohio. Okay, now number 3 is tricky. You had to read it carefully because I know I'm talking about the Shawnee, but the question was, what year were the last indigenous tribes removed from Ohio? And that was in 1843. Okay, good job. Ooh. Okay, how many federally recognized Shawnee tribes are there currently in the United States? The answer is 3. Okay. What nearby town was known as Blue Jackets Town in the late 1700s? Bell Fountain. Okay, now, number 6. There is debate on the answer to number 6. I am going to give you the answer that I have seen the most frequently. Like I've said, the great thing about history is you never learn it all. So we may be wrong. 5 years from now, everything I'm telling you could be absolutely wrong. So, how many times was frontiersman Simon Kenton forced to run the gauntlet by the Shawnee and other tribes? Now they're not enough. Yeah, he was a terrible horse thief. So, I'm going to accept 2 answers on this one. These are the 2 answers that occur most frequently in all of my historical research. I will accept 8 or 9. So, and last but not least, how many sects or divisions are there in the Shawnee Nation? The answer is 5. Okay. So give yourself your score out of 7. Okay. Who got a perfect score? Who got a 6? 5. 4. Oh, we got 3. Okay. Turn your paper over. Turn your paper over. This is a tiebreaker. I got more. There's still a tie after this one. I got more. So, can you please tell me what battle was Tecumseh killed in? Do you know?
I think Greenville.
No.
There was that.
Dams.
Battle of the Thames. Okay, you're the winner, chicken dinner. So we've got our winner right here. And again, I have not read the book, so
What is it?
it's called The Untold Story of Isaac Zane from Zanesfield.
Appreciate it.
I went to this amazing store in Lodi, Ohio,
Mm-hmm.
where this gentleman makes black powder rifles. Now, I was not excited about that, I will tell you that. But then when we opened the door, it's also a bookstore. So my husband went one direction, I went another, and then we met in the middle at some point after a couple hours. It was awesome. All right, so we are going to be talking today about the murder of Chief Moluntha that happened right here in our area. So as I said, there are currently 574 federally recognized Native American tribes in the United States. There are no state or federally recognized indigenous tribes in Ohio. This is a boo-boo. The last Shawnee tribe was removed in 1831, 1832. Great source for this, all primary sources, is this amazing book called Sorrow for Journey. This includes primary sources written by the soldiers that forced the Shawnee out of Ohio for the last time. And then we have another amazing book called The Other Trail of Tears, which focuses on the Shawnee removal. So both of these books, amazing. Again, at the end, if you want to come up and take pictures of any of these books for future reference, feel free to do so. There are 3 federally recognized tribes in the United States, federally recognized Shawnee tribes, and they are all located in Oklahoma. We have the Shawnee, the Eastern Shawnee tribe of Oklahoma, and the absentee Shawnee tribe. And these are their current leaders. At the top with the Shawnee Nation is Ben Barnes. He is a descendant, and that tribe are descendants of Moluntha. They are primarily Mapoche, and we'll discuss that in just a little bit. Then we have the Eastern Shawnee, and that is led by Chief Glenna Wallace, who is my superhero, and I adore. She's the first female elected Shawnee chief of the Shawnee Nation. An incredible thing. And then we have John Raymond Johnson. He is a descendant of Tecumseh and Tenskwatawa, and he is the current chief of the absentee Shawnee. All who have been in Ohio recently. All right, now I'm going to try to do this. I've been practicing these as I try to respect indigenous culture and homes. So we have 5 divisions of the Shawnee. We have the Chalagawawatha, the Kispothka, the Thalawakila, the Pikowitha, and the Mapoche. And as you can tell, each one of these sects had their own responsibilities. So the Chalagawatha, yes, sir.
That having been said, in the principal villages,
Yes.
did they send different representatives to the villages to do these things, or did they only really conduct very important business when they were all together in council?
Council was rare, and you're right. Usually each village had their own leadership and would be autonomous. But then when it would be autonomous, they would work independently.
Sure.
But then when major decisions were made, and again, even when they asked all of the different sects to agree or to come together, they may not. They're like, no. So it was kind of up to the leadership at the time.
So I'm rather weak in knowing
Okay.
that up by Indian Lake,
There were actually 3 Native American reservations up by Indian Lake.
there was, to my recollection, was one of the last councils that ever met.
Blackhoof.
Pardon?
The leader of that one was Blackhoof.
Yeah, well, were they all there then?
No. Because
So he'd already,
He stuck around, his people were able to stick around
Right.
longer than a lot of the other groups
Right.
that Shawnee were.
yeah, they were one of the last groups.
categorically, however, what I was trying to establish was what was the purpose of that, like, and I don't know why that sticks in my mind, but the only thing that sticks in my mind is last major Shawnee council that took place in Ohio,
Mhm,
for my liking,
mhm.
was up there.
By then,
if you want to call them a major council because they're already splintered.
Right, I wouldn't have defined that as a major council because removal had already started. And like it was mentioned, Black Hoof's group was one of the last groups to be forced out. So by then, the Shawnee people were already divided and being removed. So,
Thank you.
no worries. All right, so as you can notice, each one has a specific purpose. We have political and tribal governance. We've got military leadership. Tecumseh's feeling was Kuspofka. And I'm sorry, I need to fix this. I was told. And Chief Lana Wallace forgave me, and she says she messes it up too. The correct pronunciation of Tecumseh is Tecumseh, with the th at the end. It doesn't, people have been told it's Tecumseh. It's just in the last 5 years or so that we've started actually using the correct pronunciation. So yes, I will.
So that's closer to how he would have said his name.
Correct. That part, just like Sacagawea. Sacagawea is not how you say her name. It's Sacagawea because there was no hard j sound in the Lenape language. So, then we've got the Thalawakila, the Pikowitha. They were the religious ones. They maintained the sacred bundles. And then the Makoche, who are the ones we're going to talk about today, were the healers. So they're the ones that we're going to focus on. And Moluntha is a member of Makoche. Your division was patrilineal. You got your division from your father. Your clan was from your mother. All right. Okay, I'm gonna get stinky now. Okay. Let's get this straight. So Shawnee myths created by white guys. Okay. Makachi does not mean smiling valley. That has been tossed around here since the 1800s. That is not what that means. It is a derivation of the Makoche people. So just like people who lost their last names when they came to Ellis Island, we also took Makoche and made it mean smiling valley. That's not what it means.
Excuse me.
That's
You
okay.
need to break some Logan County musicians' hearts
That's okay.
because they go by the Smiling Valley Boys and they swear to God that
Well, tell them no. They can still be the Smiling Valley
Well, I
Boys.
know, but you know where the
I know.
you know where the derivative came.
That's part of the joy of being a teacher. Is you get to break people's hearts all the time. It's fun.
But isn't usually, I'm certain you found this, because I certainly know in the study of history, the real stories are
Are much
always
better.
more interesting.
They're much better.
They're always
Yes.
more interesting than the lies we made up about.
Absolutely. Second one, and all due respect to Alan Eckert, Blue Jacket was not a white guy, okay? There has been definitive DNA testing and genealogical proof. Blue Jacket's family is one of the best documented Shawnee families in the history of the United States. He is not being sweared to. Yes.
Who was Duke Van Swearingen?
He was a white guy that got abducted by Native Americans.
Thank you.
That's it. Just like a lot of other white people that got abducted by Native Americans. All right, this one is also controversial, and I'm sorry. Squaw Rock is a bunch of hokum, okay? There's a big old rock on a great big hill that looks over Piat Castle, and a Native American woman was hiding up there with her child, and then she was shot, and the child was taken and raised by other people. No, she's not there. She's not buried there. It's not a story. And in fact, if you research the story of Squaw Rock, it happens in over 700 locations in the United States. That's a lot of dead women. Okay?
And a lot of the stories about the rock, in the telling and retelling all over the country, they're usually like to reinforce the idea that Native Americans are fundamentally lesser people.
Or that Native American children are better off. Or if you take a Native American child and raise it, it's going to turn against you when it grows up and kill you.
Like out
Yeah.
natural habitat.
Happens a lot. And since we're mentioning the word squaw, we do not use that word anymore. It is a derogatory term used for Native American women, and it basically means prostitute. So we do not use that, nor should anybody use that language anymore. Yes, sir.
Where'd the word originally from?
It's a French derivation.
Okay.
And Native American women unfortunately still fight the stereotype of being immoral or sharing their affection with a lot of people. And unfortunately, we still have Native American women are the highest number of missing and murdered women in the United States. And their murders and their disappearances are very rarely solved. So, all right, now that I understand people's affection, especially in this area, for the frontiersmen and Simon Penn. I get that. I read that when I was 11. It's one of the reasons why I fell in love with history. Alan Eckert did do research for 7 years to write that book, but it is a historical novel. It is not an autobiography or a biography or a historical research book. So again, gotta love Alan Eckert. Good job, Alan, but it is what it is. So
Very well known with historical fiction.
yes, yes, and I'm fighting a little bit with the Logan County Library because it's still under nonfiction. I know. I have a lot of battles. As soon as I retire, I'll fix all this. All right, so we do believe now that the Shawnee were actually descendants of the Ford ancient culture, and those are the mound builders. So probably their distant ancestors. There were 12 to 15 villages right in this area. 68 was actually a buffalo trail, and so these different villages were built along that trail. This includes Bell Fountain, which is Blue Jackets Town, Wappatomica, which was kind of like the capital city. It's over by the Mad River Ski Lodge, and then Moluntha's town near Piat Castles. And this is an incredibly historically accurate picture of what a Shawnee village would have looked like. You would have had the two main longhouses. Those would have been used for communal gatherings. Some people would have lived in them at all times. Family members or family units probably had more with them. Okay. Yes,
One small correction, there were no buffalo in this country.
there actually was.
It's all bison.
Okay, bison,
It's all
sorry.
bison.
Bison trail. Okay.
Well, the biologists, they're sensitive about that, like you are.
I know, that's okay, that's okay, I understand. I mean, anything but math I adore, so math is Satan's subject, and that's the only one I ignore, so. All right, whoops, wait a minute, I'm moving too fast. Okay, so, wait a minute, my computer's getting angry with me. And, okay, there we go. So, I got permission last fall to go up to Wappatomica. It is now owned by the Ohio Historical Society. You are not allowed to go up there without permission. The Shawnee people, Chief Lana Wallace's tribe, did place this time capsule up there about 5 years ago. Every time that the tribal members come here to Ohio, they do make a pilgrimage to Wappatomica. There is what we believe to be a circle mound up there, like a ring mound. And you can also still see where the dancing circle was. So where this flagpole is the location of where the longhouse would have been. And unfortunately, Wappatomica is going to be destroyed along with Moluntha's village. All right, so we're going to talk about our two main characters today. The first one is Moluntha. Moluntha is a Makoche. And unfortunately, the best thing we know about is how he died. All of my research promotes the idea that he was probably born around 1692, and he was a Makoche. We only know that he fought at the Battle of Boonesboro. I can't find any other battle that he was present at. And he was considered a moderate. He was always the one who was willing to kind of meet the Americans halfway, even though we know the Americans never met anybody halfway, okay? Then we have my new hero. Oh, okay, so this is where Macachak Town is, Moluntha's village. It is right next to the Piat Castles. And we don't know exactly where the village location is. I do know that Margaret Piat is doing an immense amount of research on where the actual location is, and she will have a new display about that this spring. Yeah. Also, if you go to West Liberty, you can see this beautiful map that's in the middle of the downtown area that will show you where all of the villages in this area were located. Pigeontown, Moluntha, Wapatama. And then we have Non Halema. Non Halema was born around 1718, 1720. We don't know for sure. She was also Makoche. She was the sister of Chief Cornstalk. And what makes her one of the most amazing Shawnee women is she was a warrior in her own right. We know that she fought at the Battle of Brushy Run. She was at the Battle of Point Pleasant. She also had her own village around Circleville, where she was the one who ran the whole thing right next to Cornstalk's village. Unfortunately, she's at Fort Randolph when Cornstalk is murdered. She was also part of the Peace Council. Now, Shawnee culture is very different than European white culture at this time. Women have a lot more power because they're the ones supplying most of the food. If the men wanted to go to war, they had to go to the Peace Council and tell the women why. And if it was a good enough reason, the women would say, okay. If the timing was bad or they thought they were just being hot-headed men, they'd say no. Better just calm down a little bit.
Maybe we could.
Maybe. She's also going to be a scout and a translator, and it's going to be at Fort Randolph when she runs into a little bit of problem. She basically goes to Fort Randolph because she thinks the Americans are going to win. And she goes against her own people and gives support to the Americans at Fort Randolph. She dresses some of their men up as Shawnee to help them get through the lines and get messages to the other American troops. And because she does that, for a while, her own people turn against her. She loses a lot of power then. She later on, which I find interesting, about a year before she dies, she contacts the U.S. government, and I have found the congressional letter of request that she sent. She basically says, hey, do you remember at Fort Randolph when I helped you? Do you remember that? If you give me 1,000 acres, my people and I will live on that 1,000 acres, and we'll be even Steven. And maybe my people will forgive me a little bit for helping you. In exchange, she did not get 1,000 acres. She got a daily ration of food, 1 blanket, and 1 set of clothing per year. Not quite an equal give and take, is it? Her village, like I said, yes, sir. No,
Where were these places at?
um,
Brushy Run and Fort Randolph.
so we're talking all down what would become Indiana and Kentucky. So they're all going back and forth between those areas. Ohio is basically stuck in the middle. And then we get to the War of 1812 and all of a sudden we become really important and then they got to get out. So this is, okay, they call this Nona Halema's burial site. I don't think she's there. I'm not sure where she's at. I don't think anybody will ever know where she's at. But she has a lovely rock with her name on it. And they call it her burial site. Okay?
And where's that?
This is right outside of Circleville.
Circleville.
I, because my husband knows he's married to a history nerd, forced my husband to drive in the wintertime in the snow to isolated locations. So I can stand there and go, oh my goodness, this is where she was. And so this is where her village was. And again, Cornstalk's village was right next to hers. And it's also in the location about 1.5 miles away from both of those villages, was called the burning grounds, where the Shawnee, if they deemed you a criminal, would paint you black and burn you at the stake. But usually for good reason. And Simon Kenton got away with that. I don't know how. Well, Simon Gertie helped. I mean, we got to start giving Simon Gertie a little bit of credit.
If Simon Gertie is ever referred to in texts written by Americans that I have seen, he's almost always referred to
He's
as
a bad
Simon
guy.
Gertie,
Yeah.
the traitor.
Yeah, the tree.
The traitor,
Yeah.
because he wasn't on our, he went with the
He was
British.
kind of on the indigenous side, which makes me kind of like him. So.
Yeah.
All right, this is where the downfall begins. This is Fort Finney. Fort Finney is down on the Ohio border where the Great Miami and the Ohio River meet. They throw up this blockhouse and they invite the Shawnee to come and discuss what's going to happen. The American Revolution is over. And of course, George Washington and all the rest of the US government want to start forcing people out of the way because we say we're going to stay on the east side of the Appalachian Mountains, but we're not. We all knew that, okay? So the Treaty of Fort Finney basically says, you picked the wrong side. You lost. The British lost all their land, and that means you lose all your land too. And the Shawnee are like, whoa, whoa, whoa. This was our land before it was your land and before it was the British land, and we didn't say we lost anything. There are three primary people that are there. We've got Captain Johnny who's there. We've got a leader named Red Hawk, and then we've got Moluntha. Now, Captain Johnny, and every historical description that I've read of him, but again, written by European white people, so we got to take it with a grain of salt. He's 7 foot tall and ugly. Well, okay, maybe not. Okay, I'm sure he was tall. He was probably very imposing. Ugly, you know, that's
By Europeans.
yeah, that's a context clue. So, Captain Johnny walks in and says, "You may say we lose, but we didn't say we lost." And he puts down the wampum belt. It's half black, it's half white. You choose. Black, we go to war. White, we come up with peace. And George Rogers Clark, being the incredibly diplomatic man that he is, takes his cane, knocks the wampum on the ground, and then stomps on it. Good job. Way to be a negotiator. Okay? Yeah. Needless to say, Captain Johnny walks out. Moluntha comes back 2 days later and agrees to sign, and so does Captain Johnny. Now, we don't know what Moluntha did to sway Captain Johnny's opinion, but the Native Americans have to give up their land, they have to give back all white captives, and they have to be ready to move into what would become the northeastern part, or the northwestern corner of Ohio. Okay. Moluntha also gets kind of admonished by people like Blue Jacket. Blue Jacket was very upset that Moluntha and Captain Johnny agreed to sign this. Okay, so in January, now, it's January, it's the beginning of the year, 1786. Keep that date in mind. It's official. They've surrendered their land, and Moluntha's going to come back and settle here in the Mackinac Valley. And then we got our friend, Benny Logan. Benjamin Logan is going to be told, clear this mess out. We don't want them here. Do what you got to do. And he begins with his force of Kentucky militiamen to move north and start destroying all of these villages. I've heard 700 militia. I've heard 1,000 militia. Let's assume it's somewhere in between that. And most of them are volunteers. The Kentucky people, the Kentucky settlers, do not like Native Americans. They've been fighting them for decades by then, and there's a lot of bad blood, as we are going to discuss soon. Okay, so here's just a little gentle map of Logan's raid, just part of it. All right, and then we get to Moluntha. In October, so literally 10 months after this treaty is signed, Benjamin Logan and his men end up at Moluntha's village in the Mackinac Valley. Moluntha comes out of his longhouse. He has an American flag flying over the longhouse. He's carrying a copy of the Treaty of Fort Finney. Benjamin Logan does say, any Native American, he wouldn't have called them Native Americans, but any Native American who surrenders is protected. If they fight, they die. There's really not too many people here to fight. Most of the male warriors are in the Wabash, fighting in what would become Indiana, helping the Miami and the Shawnee who are there. So you have very few actual warriors living in these areas. You've got basically the elderly, women, and children. They take control of Moluntha's village quite easily. I think there's only 3 deaths. Moluntha is taken into protective custody. He is there allegedly with his 3 wives, one of them being Nona Halima. I'm going to put an asterisk beside that. We don't know if Nona Halima was actually his wife or whether she was a relative. They're both Makoche, and it's very rare for you to marry somebody within the same sect that you were born into because you're related. So we don't know if she was actually his wife or whether she was a relative, but she was there. So according to eyewitness accounts, Moluntha's taken captive his 3 wives, 2 white female captives, and their children. Each one of the white female captives had small little girls. Moluntha was getting ready to offer those white captives up and say, here, take them with you. We don't have a beef with you. Then we get Hugh McGarry. And let me skip ahead here.
Can I ask real fast,
Sure,
before we get on to the real ugly business?
sure.
Were these captives at Moluntha's town hostages in the European sense, or were they adopted tribe members that were like having a pretty good time?
We don't know how these women felt about being returned.
Okay.
As you mentioned, in Shawnee culture, if you lost a child or you lost a family member and a captive was brought to your village, you could claim that captive to replace the child or the family member that you lost. And in many occasions, especially for women, Native American women had a lot more autonomy and actually had an easier job than white European settler women. There are a lot of examples of children and women who were captured and adopted by the Shawnee who did not want to go back. And that makes sense. If you're taken captive when you're 12 and by 18 you're married and you have a child and you've acclimated to this society, those are your family now. Why would you want to leave?
I read about a black man living with the Shawnee.
Yes, Caesar from Caesar's Creek, right
Yeah.
down, right down
And
68.
his logic was just the same as,
Why would I want to be a black slave?
why would I want to be a slave with the Americans when I can just be like a part of the family over here?
Accepted, yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. All right, Hugh McGarry. I'm gonna say something controversial again. I see Hugh McGarry as, I know, shocking, isn't it? Hugh McGarry, in my mind, is a victim and a villain.
You can be both.
And you can be both. In 1744, Native Americans attack his settlement at Fort Harrod in Kentucky. His eldest stepson is killed, and not only killed, but mutilated. His body was basically ripped to shreds. Later, a couple days later, same Native American tribe attacks them again, and he sees that one of the Native American warriors is wearing the coat of his son. That Native American warrior is killed, and Hugh McGarry, and we're just going to assume that he was just overcome with grief, dismembered that Native American warrior and fed the pieces of his body to his dogs. We go through another few years, another 8 years. He's at the Battle of Blue Licks. And Shawnee are at the Battle of Blue Licks. This is in Kentucky. Daniel Boone is present. He and McGarry are in the fort, and McGarry's like, let's go. They're drawn back. They're running. Let's catch them before they run away. Let's kill them all. Daniel Boone is like, no, buddy, I'm going to tell you right now. This is a trap. Don't be dumb. Don't make a run for it. They'll kill us all. And then Hugh McGarry has the audacity to look at Daniel Boone and say, you're a coward. That's why you don't want to go out there. And Daniel Boone, being Daniel Boone, going, fine. I may die, but I'm not a coward. So they do attack, and actually we have a great quote from Daniel Boone that says, come on, we're all slaughtered men. Over 70 of the Kentucky militia are killed. It is a complete and utter failure, and Hugh McGarry is held responsible for it. So again, he's a very bitter man, is Mr. McGarry. Later on, he's even going to tick off Andrew Jackson, which, as one Indian killer to another, that's pretty hard to do. But he's one of the people that promotes the idea that Andrew Jackson's wife is committing bigamy. She's got a live husband. They're not divorced. You're married to a married woman. You're a terrible person. And Andrew Jackson did not appreciate that very much. And we all know that Andrew Jackson likes to do nothing but duel with people who make him mad. So, all right, so Hugh McGarry shows up. Remember, Moluntha and his family are in protective custody. He busts through the line. He walks straight up to Moluntha, looks him dead in the eye, and says, were you at Blue Lick? Moluntha doesn't know what the heck to say. He's also 90 plus years old. Moluntha smiles, like, okay, like we all do, we don't know what somebody's saying, and receives a hatchet to the forehead right between the eyes, killing him instantly. There is also a story that Mom Halima was standing there. She actually tries to stop McGarry and loses 3 fingers in the process. We don't know for sure if that happens. I'm still researching that. We also have a message from William Lytle. William Lytle is 16 years old. He's part of Ben Logan's troops. And he says he also tries to stop McGarry and feels the hatchet handle hit his arm. I think William Lytle is one of our best sources. Some people question it because his memories weren't written down until he was in his 50s. So there's a big gap of time. But again, it seems to be pretty consistent no matter what happens. All right, that is a painting of Moluntha right before McGarry gets involved. After Moluntha's death, McGarry is arrested and he is court-martialed. You notice how I put that in parentheses. He basically loses his command for 1 year because he has conduct unbecoming an officer and a gentleman. So as long as you're hatcheting a Native American person in the forehead, pretty much a slap on the wrist. There are several reactions to Moluntha's death. Simon Kenton said, if I had been there when he struck Moluntha, I would have struck him down too. Simon Kenton was off doing other things in the same location. William Lytle states that he tries to pull a knife and stop McGarry and talks about the hatchet hitting him in the arm as it strikes Moluntha in the forehead. Again, Nom Halima, we think that she might have lost 3 fingers trying to defend her relative or her husband. She's taken prisoner. She's held at Fort Pitt in Danville, Kentucky. George Rogers Clark and Daniel Boone both petitioned for her release. She's only held captive for about 3 months. While she's being held captive, she actually helps Richard Butler write a Shawnee dictionary. I will tell you though, that when he sends it to George Washington, there is no mention that she helped him write it. And then she is then released sometime in December, and we know that she dies soon after. And then this is Tecumseh's reaction. He says, it was at Fort Finney where some of my people were forced to make a treaty. Flags were given to my people, and they were told they were now the children of the Americans. We were told if any white people mean to harm you, hold up those flags, and you will be safe from all danger. We did this in good faith, but what happened? Our beloved Chief Moluntha stood with the American flag in front of him, and that very peace treaty in his hand, but his head was chopped off by an American officer, and that American officer was never punished. So basically, Tecumseh uses this to say, we can't make peace with you because you lied to us. Every time you say you're going to give us a special section, we're going to live in peace here, we're going to leave you alone, this is what happens.
The line about children of the Americans that's brought up a lot in movies is referring to the American president as like our father, the Americans as our fathers.
Yes.
And that also comes from different perspectives on how children are treated.
But that's also Native American culture.
Well, yeah.
Because if you're talking to an equal, it's aunt or uncle.
Yes.
If you're talking to a superior, it's father, mother, grandfather.
Yes.
If you're talking to somebody who's below you, it's nephew, it's son.
Sure. My point is that in American culture, you can hit your kids, and they have no legal recourse against you. Whereas the way Native American groups believe a father or a mother should treat their children was loving and nourishing and nurturing.
Well, kind of, but also Native American culture was different because you allowed your children to learn through mistakes. If your kid touches a burning ember, they learn, well, sure, that's hot. Sure. You're not going to punish them more for that. Sure. They've already learned a lesson. Yeah. So, yes, sir, you had a question.
Tecumseh sounds very well spoken.
I'm sure there's some white translation involved. But he was a very knowledgeable man and was quite an eloquent speaker. But I'm sure in the translation of it, a little bit of an punishment. Because, go ahead.
I didn't even, I was gonna say, I mean, how did it become so?
From all records, he was never literate. He couldn't read or write. He had been around white culture enough to pick up some of the speech patterns, some of the verbiage. And from all accounts, he was just a naturally eloquent, charismatic person. I think that that's why he, even though he needed his brother-in-law with Penskatala, neither one could have done what they did without each other. But he had that eloquence and that charisma that comes with natural leadership, whereas his brother did not. So.
Well, how many languages could he speak?
He just spoke English and Shawnee. But we don't know that for sure. I don't want to say that because he did travel all the way to Alabama. He did travel all the way up into Canada. He was having contact with a variety of tribes. So I don't know, maybe he picked up other things there too. Because obviously he wanted that Pan-American union. All right, so I'm going to encourage you because number one, I'm a teacher. Number two, I'm a history nerd. There's a lot of really cool places right here in our backyard that you can go visit to learn more about this. In 2024, the Great Council Park was open. I was lucky enough to be there the day it opened. Like I admitted earlier before the program started, I may or may not have shoved Governor DeWine out of the way to shake Chief Glenna Wallace's hand. I probably did. She's really cool. This is one of the most amazing museums you will ever go to. It has direct tribal influence. Everything is written in English and in Shawnee. And it's probably the most historically accurate Native American museum, at least on this side of the Mississippi. There's some of my kids, and if they knew that I was showing pictures of them, they would be aghast. There are the three tribal leaders, and again, Chief Glenna Wallace, my hero. So they were all the three there. I think there was over 400 Shawnee the day that it opened at the opening ceremonies. Again, another place that you can go is unfortunately the location of where Moluntha was killed at Piat Castles. There is a new exhibit opening up in April that completely discusses the death of Moluntha and the Benjamin Logan campaign. And I know that Margaret has been working for well over 2 years to make sure that everything is right. She has also gotten everything approved by Chief Glenna Wallace. And of course, Chief Glenna Wallace has been instrumental in getting the mound systems to UNESCO sites. Watching her in Dubai, receiving the UNESCO application, receiving the UNESCO ceremony, and her giving her speech in Shawnee gives me chills just to think about it right now. So again, she came back to Ohio 20 years ago and went to the mound systems that were then at the time covered with a golf course. And she was told to get out of the way by a guy golfing. She's like, how would you feel if you're standing in the middle of your church or your synagogue or your mosque and somebody rides up to you on a golf cart and says, get out of the way? She's like, I knew right then and there I needed to protect these locations.
Now, those in the photos there, is that the golf course?
No, these are the Newark mounds. The only mounds I believe that are not protected under UNESCO now are the Serpent Mounds. For some reason, Serpent Mounds was made later, and so it didn't qualify at the same time as these. I'm sure they're going to, but they were from a different time period. Yes.
It said something earlier, like at the start, about like one of the circular areas or something. And
The circular mound.
alluded to is going to be done away with, or
I don't know if at Wappatomica they will ever designate that. I wish I brought my mounds. I have a map of all the mounds in all the different counties. A lot of them have been destroyed by beautiful people like my husband who are farmers, and see a big hill in the middle of their field and say, oh, we must flatten that. I don't know if they'll ever be able to prove that those weren't damaged enough. They're very damaged.
Mhm.
So I don't know if they would ever be able to get that declaration or not.
Mhm.
Also, the dancing circle is very close to it as well.
Mhm.
So I think they're just going to assume that they're protecting them together.
Where are those?
Wabatomica is right, if you're heading towards Mad River Ski Lodge,
Okay,
it's where Winger's Produce is.
okay,
If you're standing at the end of the road where Winger's Produce is, you look to the right, it's up there on the hill.
okay.
Oh, cool. Yeah, it's an amazing location. Again, don't get caught. I got permission, don't get caught, because I know you people will go there, and it's okay, just don't get caught.
Private property.
Well, it's owned by the Ohio Historical Society. Yes,
We're talking about the tribal woman that was here 20 years ago. A friend of mine
Chief
told me
Lennon.
about when the Shawnee State University, or college, whatever it is, was starting Shawnee studies to
Yes.
honor their name, that they had the first delegation from the Shawnee Nation in Oklahoma came here,
I was probably Chief Lennon.
and they did all the ceremonies and stuff, and none of that made the news. It was like the first time they've been back since they were
Well,
gone.
I mean,
So anyhow, it's
that's
just,
kind of how it always is, isn't it? I mean, Native Americans usually get left out of stuff like that. I mean, I do know Chief Ben Barnes, let me go, Chief Ben Barnes, this guy right here. His whole goal now, other than tribal identification, he is a warrior when it comes to people claiming to be Shawnee. And so he has made some enemies here in Ohio, because there are tribes that declare that they're Shawnee, but they can't really prove it. He's also been instrumental in bringing a revival of the Shawnee language. He has offered online courses as well as in-person courses to all 3 of the tribes so that their tribal members can study their native language. Yes, sir.
What is a Shawnee?
Well, again, it's kind of like you saying you're an Ohioan or somebody saying they're a Kentuckian. It's family ties, it's tribal ties, it's where you live, it's a place, it's a people, it's shared culture. The Shawnee were notorious for traveling all over the place. And so you can find Shawnee tribes that existed in Alabama, up in Canada. So it's more of a cultural delineation, a shared culture.
So it's not necessarily bloodline.
Now it is. Thanks to the US government Dawes Act, you now have to prove that you have enough to claim tribal membership. Yes, sir.
You've been on, have you been to any of those tribal offices, reservations in Oklahoma?
Yes.
What's that like?
I like to compare it to,
Is it like the rest, some of the rest of the others where the people live and?
it depends. Like Chief Glenna's area has had a revival. She started a casino, they're making money. They don't face the abject poverty that some of the western tribes face, like the Lakota Sioux and,
Casinos or any?
well, you know, she actually has a chance to get some land back here in Ohio, because the last Native
Right.
American reservation was supposed to go to the descendants of Blue Jacket, and when Blue Jacket's daughter died, oh no, that kind of went out the window. So she could actually claim rights to land here in Ohio if she wanted to. So that's pretty much my story. I encourage you all to learn more, travel more, ask more, and remember, you never learn it all. As soon as we think we know everything, we find something new. So if you'd like to come up and take a look at my books, if you have any questions for me, yes, sir.
I have friends that are involved with the Shawnee Nation and the Delaware Nation.
Mhm.
I'm just wondering how that
They
was in
the Shawnee considered the Delaware their grandfathers. So there, at some point, there was probably a blood relation between those.
because our local guy, Stu Engel, you see, it was part of the Chief Cedarville, who recently passed. But anyway, it was a turtle clan that the Moluntha tribe of the Delaware Nation.
Okay.
I mean, they were actually active in trying to start some businesses here.
Mhm. You, as far as I know, you can only claim to be an indigenous corporation or business if you have been, registered with the US government.
Right, I understand.
Yeah.
But they were gonna start a business venture for Shawnee and Delaware all over the
Yeah.
country to come here. They were buying one of the old Kirby farms, the one in 46 that's falling apart.
And that makes sense because the Delaware and the Shawnee were close kin here in Ohio.
That's-
And just like the
they-
Miami.
They had the women elders and they did this whole ceremonial march around
Right.
the buildings, you know, to dedicate it, blah, 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 you
Yeah.
know, and you couldn't take pictures.
Right.
That was-
Yes.
It was another amazing thing to see. And they came
When-
together, but they could not raise the funds, they couldn't get the grants, so they all went away.
When the Shawnee are here visiting and they go up to Wapatomica, you are also not allowed to, you are only allowed to be there if you are invited, and you are not allowed to take pictures. Because it's like taking pictures in church.
They're not a tourist attraction, these are human beings.
Right, exactly. Any other questions? All right, well, thank you for letting me, yes.
The Shawnee language, do they adopt words from other languages?
No, we've had, there has been a written record of Shawnee language since the 1700s. So that's what they're basing their current language on, so. Anybody else? If you stand up and walk around, you want to ask me questions, you're more than welcome to.
Well, I'd like to thank Amanda. We appreciate your time and your effort. Much.
Come back in August, you can see my children and what they've produced, or not August, April, sorry, I'm thinking.
April 23rd, they will be here.
Okay.
So come and let them share what they've learned with you.
Thank you all very
Thank you
much
for coming.